Commander Eliza Chen smoothed down her uniform for the fifth time in as many minutes. The orbital station's conference room, hastily converted from a cargo bay into something resembling a diplomatic venue, felt alternately too hot and too cold. Earth's first official contact with extraterrestrial life was about to begin, and she was the highest-ranking officer available after the Admiral's shuttle suffered mechanical failure. "Stop fidgeting," muttered Lieutenant Santos from behind her. "The Vosk delegation will interpret rapid movement as aggression." "You read that in the briefing packet 15 minutes ago," Eliza whispered back. "I hardly think you're an expert on alien psychology." The airlock cycled open with a pneumatic hiss that made everyone jump. 4 tall figures ducked through the doorway, their iridescent exoskeletons catching the light as they moved. The Vosk representatives stood nearly 7 feet tall, with segmented bodies and 4 upper limbs that ended in what resembled delicate, 3-fingered hands. Their heads featured prominent mandibles and multifaceted eyes that reflected the room in kaleidoscopic patterns. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," said the foremost alien through a translator device affixed to what humans assumed was a throat. "I am Science Officer Kafrax. We appreciate your hospitality aboard this station." Eliza stepped forward, keeping her movements deliberately slow. "On behalf of the United Earth Government, welcome. I am Commander Eliza Chen. We are honored by your presence." The formalities proceeded according to protocol, but Eliza couldn't help noticing how the Vosk maintained a careful distance from the humans, much farther than the recommended 2 meters in the briefing. Every time she gestured, Thrax flinched almost imperceptibly, compound eyes tracking her hands with unnerving intensity. 40 minutes into discussions about potential trade agreements and cultural exchange programs, Eliza heard a sound that made her blood run cold. The soft padding of paws against metal flooring. Pixel, her therapy cat, on the station, in a high-security diplomatic meeting. The silver tabby had evidently escaped her quarters and followed her scent through the station's air circulation system, a route Eliza had caught her using twice before. Before she could react, Pixel trotted into the conference room, tail held high, completely unaware of the interstellar crisis she was about to cause. The Vosk delegation froze, antennae quivering in what Eliza would later learn was pure astonishment. Lieutenant Santos made a move to intercept the cat, but Eliza held up a hand to stop him. Something in the alien's reaction suggested capturing Pixel might make the situation worse. Instead, she did what came naturally. She knelt down and called softly, "Come here, silly girl. You're not supposed to be here." Pixel crossed to her without hesitation and butted her head against Eliza's outstretched hand. Seeing no alternative that wouldn't create a scene, Eliza scooped up the cat and began stroking her fur to keep her calm. The conference room fell silent. The Vosk delegation stared, their normally fluid movements completely arrested. Kafrax's translator emitted several untranslatable clicks before finally forming words. "You touch the predator creature. Voluntarily? With your exposed dermis?" Eliza blinked in confusion. "It's just a cat. A domestic house cat. They've been human companions for thousands of years." "The creature has killing appendages," Kafrax said, extending one limb to point at Pixel's paws where her claws were currently sheathed, "and piercing dentition." The alien gestured toward Pixel's face, where she was now contentedly purring. "Well, yes, but—" Eliza paused, suddenly understanding. "Wait, are you saying you don't have pets?" The question required extensive explanation as the universal translator struggled with the concept. The ensuing discussion revealed something that would reshape humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy. No other known sentient species willingly touched potentially dangerous creatures for pleasure or bonding. All evolved sentient life develops appropriate fear responses to predatory anatomical features, explained Kit Thrax, edging closer with scientific curiosity gradually overcoming caution. Your species' ability to suppress threat recognition and establish physical contact with predatory organisms is unprecedented. It's called petting, Eliza said, demonstrating as she ran her hand along Pixel's back, eliciting louder purrs. It's how we show affection to animals. Scratching behind the ears is particularly effective with cats. She demonstrated, and Pixel tilted her head appreciatively. Ambassador Varrock, who had maintained complete silence until now, finally spoke. Our xenobiologists theorized that technological advancement requires fear-appropriate responses to environmental threats. Your species contradicts this fundamental assumption. Lieutenant Santos couldn't contain himself. Are you saying that humans are unique because we pet animals? We have documented 17 spacefaring civilizations, Frax replied, and witnessed the rise and fall of dozens more. None have demonstrated the ability to establish non-threatening physical contact with predatory organisms. The neurological implications are significant. The meeting scheduled to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange protocols instead became an impromptu demonstration of humanity's apparent superpower. By the session's end, two of the braver Vosk had managed to extend a trembling appendage to touch Pixel's fur for approximately 3 seconds before instinctual fear responses overwhelmed them. The humans, trying to maintain diplomatic professionalism, did their best not to appear amused at the aliens' mixture of terror and fascination with something as mundane as petting a cat. As the Vosk delegation prepared to depart, Thrax approached Commander Chen one final time. Your ability may seem insignificant to you, the alien said quietly, but I predict it will reshape your species' path among the stars. The question that remains is whether the galaxy will find your talent endearing or terrifying. 6 months after first contact, the novelty of humanity's petting ability had evolved from scientific curiosity to galactic sensation. The infamous video of Commander Chen scratching Pixel behind the ears while discussing interstellar relations had been viewed over 14 billion times across 17 systems. Human representatives now found themselves in high demand at diplomatic functions, though not always for the reasons Earth's leadership had anticipated. Ambassador Rodrigo Alvarez adjusted his formal attire as the shuttle approached the Concordat's central hub station, an enormous wheel-shaped structure that served as the political center for the known galaxy. He glanced at the carrier beside him where Cooper, his golden retriever and emotional support animal, dozed peacefully. Remember the protocols, said Dr. Lakshmi Patel, the xenobiological attaché assigned to his team. The Murath delegation will want to observe Cooper but maintain distance. The culinary representatives might request a demonstration but will not participate. Under no circumstances allow physical contact with the Krell Empire representatives. Their biochemistry makes them particularly susceptible to territorial aggression responses. Alvarez nodded, though the constant reminders were beginning to wear on him. He understood the stakes. After the Chen incident, as it was now officially classified, Earth's leadership had scrambled to develop protocols for what they'd never imagined would become their primary diplomatic asset: the human ability to safely handle animals. The reception hall dazzled with representatives from across the galaxy. Alvarez recognized perhaps a dozen species from his briefings, each maintaining careful distance from others according to complex interspecies etiquette. The human delegation attracted immediate attention, partly due to their novelty as newcomers, but primarily because of Cooper, who trotted obediently at Alvarez's side. The beast accompanies you voluntarily, asked a culinary representative, its translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Without restraint technologies? This is Cooper, Alvarez explained, keeping his voice measured as he'd been trained. He's a companion animal bred for generations to work alongside humans. The only technology involved is his training. The planned demonstration proceeded smoothly. Cooper performed basic obedience routines while representatives observed from what they considered safe distances. The event was proceeding exactly according to protocol until an unexpected development. A server drone malfunctioned, crashing into a decorative water feature with a tremendous splash and noise. Several species reacted with alarm displays. The Vosk representatives' exoskeletons shifted to warning coloration. The culinary pulsed rapid distress patterns. and Supreme Commander Sorkat of the Krell Empire, a 9-foot reptilian warrior whose species was notorious for hair-trigger territorial aggression, instinctively moved into a defensive posture, scales flaring. Cooper, startled by the commotion, broke protocol. Before handlers could intervene, the retriever darted across the hall directly toward the imposing Krell commander. Security personnel froze, calculating intervention trajectories. The Krell guards reached for ceremonial, but very functional, plasma weapons. Dr. Patel whispered an urgent warning into her comm unit. In that moment of crisis, Ambassador Alvarez made a career-defining decision. Instead of calling Cooper back, which might trigger the Krell's pursuit instinct, he calmly walked toward the Supreme Commander, projecting relaxed body language. "Supreme Commander Sorkat," he said, bowing his head slightly. "May I introduce Cooper?" He was startled by the noise and seeks reassurance. The massive reptilian warrior regarded the human and dog with vertical pupilled eyes. "Your hunting beast approaches without challenge display," Sorkat observed, voice rumbling through translator notes. "Explain." "He's not a hunting beast, but a companion," Alvarez said, kneeling beside Cooper and demonstrating proper petting technique. "May I show you?" Among humans, physical contact with companion animals helps reduce stress hormones and promotes diplomatic clarity. The room fell silent. The Krell were notoriously resistant to diplomatic overtures, their biology seemingly hardwired for aggression rather than cooperation. No species had successfully established casual physical contact protocols with them in the Concordat's recorded history. After what felt like an eternity, Supreme Commander Sorkat inclined his massive head. "Demonstrate." With deliberate movements, Alvarez guided the commander's clawed hand to Cooper's head, showing him the proper pressure and motion for ear scratches. Cooper, living up to his species' reputation for friendliness, leaned contentedly into the touch. The gathered diplomats watched in stunned silence as the fearsome Krell commander's scales gradually shifted from aggressive orange to a peaceful blue-green, a biological response not witnessed in diplomatic settings within recorded memory. "The sensation is not unpleasant," Sorkat admitted, continuing the petting motion independently. "Your species' ability to establish non-threatening physical contact creates interesting possibilities." Within minutes, representatives from 3 species previously considered incompatible with Krell biochemistry had joined the impromptu demonstration. Galactic observer Prevail, recording the proceedings for historical archives, added a personal note to the official record. Species that have maintained hostilities for millennia are reconsidering fundamental assumptions after witnessing humans demonstrate touch-based social bonding rituals that somehow bypass instinctual aggression responses. Later that evening, during private deliberations of the Concordat Security Council, Elder Representative Jolan voiced what many were thinking. The human ability to establish peaceful physical connections with potentially dangerous organisms represents either the greatest diplomatic opportunity in Concordat history or the most concerning security development since the hive mind incursion. After reviewing the footage of Ambassador Alvarez guiding the notoriously aggressive Krell Supreme Commander through petting techniques, the Security Council quietly authorized expanded research into humanity's unique abilities and their potential implications for galactic stability. Dr. Maya Patel never expected to become a celebrity xenobiologist. 3 years after humanity's integration into the galactic community, she led a research expedition to catalog indigenous fauna on Epsilon 9, a frontier world with promising colonization potential but challenging wildlife concerns. Her team's primary objective was straightforward: assess whether the planet's ecosystem could be safely managed alongside human settlement. "Atmospheric readings nominal," announced Dr. Reyes, her atmospheric specialist, as their shuttle descended through wispy clouds. "Preliminary scans show significantly higher biodiversity than initial probes suggested." Maya nodded, reviewing the habitat distribution map taking shape on her tablet. The Concordat Ecological Survey flagged this northern continent as problematic. Apparently, previous assessment teams encountered difficulties with the local apex predators. Crystal mantises, said Camille, their xenozoologist, with poorly concealed excitement. Fascinating arthropodal predators. Their exoskeletons contain silicate structures that refract light for camouflage and channel bioelectric energy. Their touch causes immediate paralysis in every known species. Every known non-human species, corrected Maya with a small smile. The distinction had become increasingly important in scientific literature. Their research outpost established, the team began methodical survey work, cataloging species and collecting biological samples. The expedition proceeded without incident until their third week, when perimeter sensors detected movement in a nearby clearing. Maya was recording observations when Kamal's voice came through her communicator, tense but controlled. Dr. Patel, we have multiple crystal mantises approaching from the northeast. They're exhibiting curiosity behavior rather than hunting patterns. The juvenile specimens are leading the approach. The team had prepared extensively for this eventuality. Standard Concordat protocols mandated immediate retreat behind energy barriers and deployment of deterrent measures. Maya made a different call. Maintain position. Activate the observation drones and live stream to the Concordat scientific network. I'm heading to your location. Maya arrived at the clearing's edge just as 3 juvenile crystal mantises emerged from the underbrush. Standing approximately 1 meter tall, they resembled Earth mantises only in their general body plan. Their translucent exoskeletons shimmered with internal light, shifting between colors as they moved. Behind them, larger adults, nearly twice their size, maintained watchful positions. Remarkable color communication, whispered Maya into her recorder. The pattern shifts suggest complex social hierarchy and information exchange. She knew that 17 billion sentient beings across the Concordat networks were now watching this encounter. Human-wildlife interaction protocols have become the most viewed scientific content in galactic history, studied by everyone from xenobiologists to military strategists. Maya slowly removed her outer glove, exposing her bare hand to the planet's atmosphere. The mantise's crystalline structures shifted immediately to alert patterns, acknowledging her as a potential threat. I'm implementing the Calm Contact Protocol, she narrated for both her team and the watching audience. Establishing neutral body positioning, maintaining eye contact without direct challenge posture, and initiating gradual approach with exposed hand, displaying empty palm. The youngest mantis edged forward, its sensory appendages waving curiously. Maya remained perfectly still except for her slow, even breathing. The creature approached to within a meter, then extended a delicate sensory filament toward her outstretched hand. Viewers across 17 systems held their breath. Contact. The filament brushed against Maya's palm, and the mantis' entire exoskeleton shifted from alert red to a calm blue-green pattern. Rather than experiencing the paralytic effect the mantises were known for, Maya gently curled her fingers, stroking the filament with the practiced touch she developed working with Earth's venomous creatures. Initial contact established, she said softly. The specimen's defensive biochemistry appears to be modulating in response to human touch. Crystalline structures shifting to non-aggressive configuration. Emboldened by the juvenile's experience, an adult mantis approached. Within minutes, Maya was surrounded by curious crystal mantises, their exoskeletons glowing with peaceful blues and greens as she demonstrated various petting techniques to her astonished team members. The human touch appears to trigger biochemical responses unlike anything documented with other species, noted Maya in her subsequent research paper. Preliminary analysis suggests humans produce specific skin secretions containing compounds that signal non-threat status across remarkably diverse biological systems. Even those with silicon-based biochemistry previously thought incompatible with carbon-based life forms. The Interspecies Management Corporation, which had built its trillion-credit business on exterminating untamable wildlife, immediately dispatched representatives to dispute her findings. Their hastily organized press conference featured experts claiming the crystal mantises had been sedated or genetically modified for the publicity stunt. Their credibility collapsed entirely when the live stream continued for 72 consecutive hours, showing Maya's team establishing peaceful coexistence with a creature previously classified as Contact Level Alpha, the highest danger rating in the Concordat's Xenobiological Index. Within days, 17 frontier worlds facing ecological crisis requested human wildlife management specialists. Research institutions across the galaxy opened positions for human xenobiologists. The Concordat Planetary Development Commission revised its colonization protocols to include mandatory human-wildlife interaction specialists on all assessment teams. As Maya's expedition continued its groundbreaking work, children of various species across the galaxy began asking their parents an increasingly uncomfortable question. Why can't we pet animals like humans do? The question would eventually lead to the greatest scientific controversy and revelation in Concordat history. Captain Genui surveyed the abandoned terraforming colony through his shuttle viewport. Nalthus III's moon had once been humanity's most ambitious extraterrestrial settlement, a showcase project meant to demonstrate Earth's technological capabilities to the galactic community. Now it stood empty, its gleaming habitation domes and agricultural complexes overrun by the native fauna. Perimeter breach occurred 43 standard days ago, explained Director Karim of the Concordat Colonial Authority. The Shadow Stalkers adapted to our barrier frequencies faster than anticipated. Even military-grade deterrents proved ineffective. Wei studied the holographic display showing the sleek quadrupedal predators that had claimed the colony. Shadow Stalkers resembled Earth panthers with reptilian characteristics, scaled hide, prominent dorsal ridges, and elongated jaws filled with serrated teeth. Their most distinctive feature was their adaptive camouflage, allowing them to become nearly invisible in darkness. The Nalthus Corporation invested 8 billion credits in this colony, Director Karim continued. The Concordat authorized extermination protocols, but someone on the Security Council suggested trying the human approach first. We nodded, understanding the subtext. After Dr. Patel's success with the crystal mantises, human-animal interaction specialists had become the galaxy's most sought-after ecological consultants. His 12-person human-animal relations team represented Earth's newest and most unexpected export, people who could pet dangerous things. My team will establish contact within 3 standard weeks, we said with quiet confidence. Director Karim's facial tentacles rippled skeptically. The corporate stakeholders requested certainty, Captain. These creatures have killed 23 colonists. With respect, Director, that's precisely why we're here. Standard protocols failed. It's time for something different. Their shuttle touched down at the colony's emergency landing pad. The abandoned settlement carried an eerie silence, broken only by occasional animal calls from the surrounding wilderness. Wei's team quickly established a base camp inside one of the smaller habitation domes, setting up specialized monitoring equipment and pheromone diffusers designed to attract the shadow stalkers without triggering hunting behaviors. The first rule of interspecies contact, Wei briefed his team, is understanding that aggression usually represents fear or resource competition. These creatures aren't mindless killers, they're territorial animals responding to perceived threats. The corporate representatives monitoring their operation made little effort to hide their skepticism. The extermination teams can mobilize within 12 hours if your petting approach fails, offered the Nalthus Corporation liaison. We ignored the bait. Wildlife Specialist Lindholm, please begin the environmental analysis. Let's understand what changed to trigger this territorial expansion. Over the next week, the team made several discoveries that contradicted the official narrative. The Shadow Stalkers hadn't randomly attacked the colony. They had responded to chemical signatures from the terraforming equipment that mimicked their traditional territorial markers. The colony had been unknowingly broadcasting invasion signals across the moon's surface. On their ninth day, sensors detected a Shadowstalker pack approaching their perimeter. We ordered the team into their designated positions but prohibited defensive weapons. Instead, they deployed pheromone modulators tuned to project neutral territory signatures. The first Shadowstalker emerged from the tree line as night fell, a massive alpha with distinctive scaring across its snout. It approached cautiously, testing the perimeter with heightened senses. Wei activated the observation drones and stepped into the clearing alone, broadcasting his movements to both his team and the corporate observers watching from orbit. He moved slowly, maintaining non-threatening posture while establishing clear visibility. Initiating Contact Protocol 7, he narrated calmly. Non-aggressive approach with open hands, maintaining eye contact without direct challenge. The Shadowstalker's camouflage rippled as it assessed this strange creature that neither fled nor attacked. When we stopped 10 meters away and knelt, offering his open palm at ground level, the predator's curiosity overcame caution. It approached with predatory grace, nostrils flaring as it processed his scent. The corporate observers watched in stunned silence as the creature, classified as untamably aggressive in all previous reports, extended its snout toward Wei's hand. The moment of contact, when Wei's fingers gently stroked the Shadowstalker's scaled hide, was broadcast across 17 systems. The creature's initial tension visibly melted under his touch. Within minutes, the alpha was leaning into Wei's hand like an oversized house cat, its fearsome appearance contradicted by behavior no other sentient species had witnessed from these predators. Initial contact successful, we reported, maintaining the gentle scratching motion behind the creature's sensory ridge, requesting permission to proceed with Phase 2 integration protocols. Over the following weeks, Wei's team established increasingly complex interactions with the Shadowstalker pack. They discovered the creatures possessed intelligence comparable to Earth dolphins, with sophisticated communication and social structures. By the third month, they had established a workable territory-sharing arrangement. The Shadowstalkers would receive protein rations and designated hunting grounds in exchange for protection against other native threats. When the colony administrators returned, they found their settlement not overrun but protected. The Shadowstalkers now patrolled the perimeter, responding to simple command gestures from the human handlers. Their hunting behaviors had been redirected to target actual threats to the colony, eliminating destructive herbivores that damaged agriculture while leaving beneficial species untouched. The Nalthus 3 approach creates a new model for colonization, Captain Wee explained during a broadcast that reached billions. These creatures developed aggressive responses to terraforming chemicals they interpreted as territory markers. Once we established proper communication through consistent touch protocols and corrected our chemical signatures, mutual cooperation became possible. The success transformed interplanetary development policies. Applications for human-animal relations specialty programs increased by 3,000% across Earth's universities. The Concordat Colonial Authority revised its guidelines to require wildlife integration specialists on all new settlement projects. As Wei's team prepared to depart for their next assignment, he spent a final evening with the Shadowstalker Alpha, now named Shadow by the returning colonists. The massive predator rested its head contentedly in his lap as he scratched behind its sensory ridges. "You know, we told the creature conversationally, before we met aliens, humans thought our special talent was our intelligence. Turns out our real superpower was just being able to pet scary things." Professor Amara Okafor brushed dust from her knees as she stood, stretching muscles cramped from hours of careful excavation. The ancient ruins on Centauri Prime had yielded little of interest until today. Her team had uncovered a sealed chamber beneath what appeared to be a ceremonial structure, its walls covered with remarkably well-preserved murals. Dr. Okafor, "You need to see this," called her assistant Raj, voice tight with excitement. North wall behind the support column. Amara crossed the chamber, her headlamp illuminating a series of images that made her breath catch. The murals depicted bipedal beings with unmistakably human characteristics, interacting peacefully with creatures that matched fossil records of extinct Centaurian apex predators. "That's impossible," she whispered, reaching for her scanner. "These ruins are at least 20,000 years old. Humans weren't in this sector until 3 years ago." The dating analysis confirmed her initial estimate. The pigments had been applied 22,400 years before present, give or take a century. Yet the images clearly showed beings with human proportions, distinctly different from the elongated physiology of ancient Centaurians, touching and handling creatures that paleontological evidence suggested were highly aggressive carnivores. "We need to document everything," Amara instructed her team. "Full spectral analysis, molecular dating, comparative morphology, and not a word to anyone outside this team until we verified our findings." 2 weeks later, Professor Okafor presented her controversial findings to the Galactic Science Academy's Xenorchaeology Council. The meeting room, designed to accommodate representatives from 17 different species, fell into stunned silence as she displayed the high-resolution scans. "These findings challenge our understanding of convergent evolution," she explained, highlighting detailed images showing the human-like figures touching the predatory creatures in ways remarkably similar to modern human petting techniques. The ancient Centaurians appear to have welcomed early human visitors specifically for their ability to calm dangerous fauna. Elder scientist Zlorax, whose crystalline body contained memories spanning 3 centuries, vibrated with agitation. "Your hypothesis contradicts established migration timelines. Humans evolved on Earth and remained there until first contact. The evidence suggests otherwise," Amara countered respectfully. "We found similar imagery at 3 additional sites spanning this sector, all dating between 20 and 30,000 years ago. The beings depicted share 27 distinct anatomical features with modern humans and show none of the characteristic adaptations of other bipedal species from that period." The implications sparked heated debate among the assembled scientists. If humans, or human-like ancestors, had visited these worlds millennia ago, why was there no record of advanced technology in Earth's historical record? And why would ancient civilizations specifically document these visitors' interactions with dangerous creatures? Meanwhile, on the research station orbiting Jupiter, genetic researcher Dr. Lin Baohui made a discovery that would soon connect with Okafor's findings. Comparing human DNA with samples from 17 other sentient species, he identified a unique genetic sequence humans shared with no other intelligent species, but which appeared in modified form across thousands of non-sentient creatures throughout the galaxy. The sequence produces specialized proteins that interface with threat recognition systems across remarkably diverse biological lineages, Dr. Lin reported to the Conquerors Biological Research Division. "The mathematical probability of this occurring naturally is effectively 0. His findings sent shockwaves through both scientific and religious communities. The sequence, dubbed the contact compatibility gene, appeared to have been deliberately engineered. It contained mathematical patterns that many recognized as artificially constructed, similar to how linguists could distinguish between natural language evolution and constructed communication systems. When Dr. Lin's research became public, it connected immediately with Professor Okafor's archaeological discoveries. The ancient murals hadn't depicted human visitors. They had recorded the activities of whoever had engineered the human genome. "We're looking at evidence of deliberate design," Professor Okafor explained during a joint presentation with Dr. Lin that was viewed by trillions across the known galaxy. Humanity appears to have been specifically engineered to interact safely with fauna that other sentient species cannot approach. Religious leaders across numerous species interpreted the findings according to their various belief systems. Some saw evidence of divine intervention. Others feared sinister manipulation by ancient precursors. Scientific consensus cautiously centered around the theory that some long-vanished civilization had created humans for a specific ecological purpose. As the controversy raged, practical applications of humanity's unique ability continued to expand. The first interspecies academy for animal handling opened on Earth, with students from 27 worlds arriving to learn human techniques of touch-based communication with dangerous species. The waiting list for admission stretched years into the future. The philosophical implications are profound, noted Concordat philosopher scientist Prevail during a public symposium. If humans were engineered for a specific ecological purpose, what does this reveal about their intended role in galactic society? And more troublingly, who created them, and to what ultimate end? Security Council meetings, closed to public observation, addressed more immediate concerns. If humans had been engineered as biological tools, might they pose inadvertent threats to galactic stability? Some conservative factions advocated for restrictions on human expansion until more was understood about their origins. Meanwhile, Professor Okafor continued her excavations, searching for answers to humanity's mysterious past. In her private research journal, she noted a pattern the public presentations had omitted. The ancient murals consistently depicted celestial events that astronomers recognized as precursors to extinction-level phenomena. The human-like figures weren't merely petting dangerous animals, they appeared to be preserving them from cataclysmic events. The evidence increasingly suggests humanity was created as some form of conservation mechanism, she wrote. The question remains, what exactly were we designed to preserve, and from what threat? The answer would emerge sooner than anyone expected, hidden beneath layers of corporate deception and ancient warnings that spanned the stars. Investigative journalist Sophie Mbeki had built her career on exposing uncomfortable truths. From corruption in lunar mining operations to black market trading of endangered species, she followed evidence regardless of whose profits it threatened. Her latest investigation began with what seemed like a minor financial irregularity. Identical funding patterns across 17 supposedly competing wildlife management corporations. These shell companies all trace back to subsidiaries of Galactic Biosecurity, Sophie explained to her editor via Secure Quantum Channel. They've been systematically acquiring smaller competitors specializing in dangerous creature management for the past 8 years. Since before humanity joined the galactic community, her editor noted, "That's interesting timing." Sophia nodded. More interesting is their ultimate parent company, Nexus Interstellar. They've recently begun manufacturing taming collars marketed as technology that replicates the human petting effect. Over the next 3 months, Sophia followed digital trails through corporate registries across multiple star systems. The pattern became unmistakable. Nexus had been positioning itself to control all major wildlife management contracts long before humanity's special ability became public knowledge. Her breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kaido Tanaka, former lead researcher at Nexus Biological Systems, contacted her through anonymous channels, requesting a meeting on Proxima Station, a neutral commerce hub with minimal corporate surveillance. The devices don't work as advertised, Dr. Tanaka explained during their clandestine meeting, nervously glancing around the crowded station concourse. I led the development team for 3 years. The collars temporarily suppress aggressive responses through neurochemical manipulation, but they simultaneously reinforce aggressive pathways in the creature's brains. They make the animals more dangerous long-term, Sophia clarified, recording every word. Tanaka nodded grimly. Precisely. The corporation plans to blame resulting attacks on limitations in human ability, creating market demand for their more profitable extermination services. The evidence is in this data crystal. He slid a small hexagonal device across the table. The testing videos alone should be enough to trigger a Concordat ethics investigation. Sophia's exposé was scheduled for galaxy-wide release through independent media networks beyond corporate control. 3 days before publication, Her team's transport shuttle experienced navigational malfunctions that stranded them on XJ-227, an uninhabited wildlife preserve used for Nexus field testing. "Convenient system failure," muttered her cameraman Devon as they surveyed the densely forested landing site. "And look, communications array damaged beyond repair during landing." Sophia was examining the shuttle's navigation systems when the proximity sensors triggered. "We've got company," she warned, bringing up the external camera feeds. "Nexus security forces coming in from the north. At least 12 operatives. And something else approaching from the east," Devon added, pointing to movement among the trees. "Those look like direhounds," Sophia confirmed, recognizing the massive canid predators native to this moon. Standing nearly 2 meters of the shoulder, with mottled gray-blue hides and prominent dorsal ridges, direhounds were classified as alpha predators too aggressive for standard management protocols. They had been a primary test subject for Nexus's taming collars. "We're caught between corporate hit squads and apex predators," Devon said, voice tight with controlled panic. "Please tell me you have a plan." Sophia hesitated only briefly before making her decision. "We use what they fear. Gather all our scent markers and follow me." While the Nexus security team cautiously approached from downwind, using terrain for cover, Sophia led her 3-person team directly toward the direhound pack. She carried specimen containers from their medical kit, opened to release their human scent. Standard contact protocol, she instructed her terrified colleagues, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. Slow movements, open hands, maintain eye contact without challenging posture. The lead direhound, a scarred alpha with unusual golden eyes, emerged from the tree line 30 meters ahead. It raised its massive head, sampling their scent with flaring nostrils. Sophia continued forward alone, her heart pounding as she remembered everything she'd learned about human-animal interaction protocols. "We need your help," she said softly to the creature, extending her open palm at waist height. "And I think you might need ours." The direhound approached cautiously, muscles tense for either attack or retreat. When it reached Sophia, it paused, then slowly extended its armored snout toward her outstretched hand. Contact. The creature's respiratory patterns visibly shifted as Sophia gently stroked the sensitive area behind its jaw ridge. Within moments, the alpha's posture relaxed, and it made a low rumbling sound that brought the rest of the pack forward. The Nexus security team crested the ridge in time to witness an unprecedented sight. A pack of supposedly untamable direhounds forming a protective circle around the journalists, responding to simple hand gestures from Sophia as she directed their attention toward the armed intruders. "The corporation lied about these creatures," Sophia told her wide-eyed companions as the security team hastily retreated. "They've been abused during testing, but they're intelligent enough to recognize humans as different from their tormentors." The pack escorted the journalists to a sheltered valley where dozens of other direhounds gathered around what appeared to be an underground testing facility entrance. The creatures had freed themselves from the experimental collars, evidenced by the discarded devices scattered around the clearing, but couldn't bypass the facility's security measures. Using access codes from Dr. Tanaka, Sophia's team entered the abandoned lab and discovered hundreds of testing videos documenting systematic cruelty designed to induce aggression in otherwise manageable species. The collars weren't designed to replicate human abilities, they were engineered to discredit them. When rescue finally came 3 days later, alerted by Dr. Tanaka after the team missed their scheduled communications, the emergency responders were astonished to find the journalists living peacefully among creatures classified as beyond rehabilitation. Sophia's expose, now supplemented with first-hand evidence from the testing facility, implicated 3 Concordat officials and revealed a deeper conspiracy. Certain interests wanted humanity's unique ability discredited before the public discovered the truth about its origins. The corporation hasn't just been manipulating animals, Sophia concluded in her galaxy-wide broadcast. They've been manipulating public perception of humanity's place in the cosmic order. The question we must now ask is, why are they so desperate to prevent us from fulfilling our apparent purpose? The answer lay buried in ancient archives that someone, or something, had tried very hard to keep hidden from human eyes. The classified archaeological expedition to the forbidden zone of Proxima Centauri IV wasn't supposed to include civilians. Dr. Elias Kamau had been reluctantly added to the team after military xenolinguists failed to decipher inscriptions discovered in a previously unmapped region of the planet. His expertise in comparative xenolinguistics made him essential despite security concerns. Remember the protocol, Dr. Captain Naomi Rodriguez reminded him as their shuttle descended through swirling amber clouds. You report directly to me. You touch nothing without clearance. Anything you see remains classified under Concordat Security Directive 17. Dr. Kamal nodded, more interested in the preliminary scans appearing on his tablet than in military procedures. The site had been discovered by automated survey drones searching for resources. What they found instead were artificial structures buried beneath millions of years of geological deposits, structures that predated known civilization in this sector by at least 40 millennia. The dating can't be accurate, muttered Dr. Voss, the expedition's senior archaeologist. No sentient species maintained interstellar capability for that duration without leaving more evidence. Unless they didn't want to be found, Dr. Kamau suggested, earning a sharp look from Captain Rodriguez. The landing site had been cleared of native vegetation, revealing a massive circular platform constructed of an unknown metallic alloy that had resisted standard dating techniques. At its center, a geometric pattern of inlaid crystalline structures formed what appeared to be a locking mechanism. For 3 days, the team attempted to access whatever lay beneath the platform, using everything from advanced decryption algorithms to controlled molecular disassembly. Nothing worked. Dr. Kama spent his time studying the inscriptions that spiraled from the platform's edge toward its center, comparing them with every known language in the xenolinguistic database. On the 4th morning, he approached Captain Rodriguez with a theory. It's not a language, he explained, displaying comparative holographic models. It's genetic code, specifically portions of the human genome related to the contact compatibility gene. The captain's expression remained neutral, but her posture tensed. Explain. The sequence repeats with variations that match specific expressions of the CCG across human population groups. It's not random. It's a key. He hesitated before adding, I believe the complex was designed to recognize human genetic markers. Are you suggesting this 40,000-year-old structure was built to be accessed by humans who wouldn't arrive in this system until now? Dr. Voss asked incredulously. Dr. Kamal met the archaeologist's skeptical gaze. I'm suggesting we try the simplest approach. Let me place my hand on the central configuration. After heated debate and consultation with Concordat Security Command, the experiment was approved. Under maximum security protocols, Dr. Kamal approached the platform's center and placed his palm against the crystalline pattern. Immediate response. The platform hummed with awakening energy. Segments began shifting, rearranging into a spiraling staircase that descended into darkness. Most surprising was the environmental system that activated, pumping breathable atmosphere, compatible with human physiology, into the underground complex. It was waiting for us, whispered Dr. Voss, for humans specifically. The facility extended hundreds of meters below the surface, remarkably preserved by automated maintenance systems that had continued functioning for millennia. The team discovered living quarters scaled for human proportions, research laboratories with equipment that interfaced seamlessly with human neural patterns, and a central chamber containing what appeared to be a message archive. Dr. Kamal worked tirelessly to decipher the information, which gradually revealed a devastating truth. Humanity had not evolved naturally, but had been created by an ancient species known as the shepherds, who foresaw their own extinction during a conflict with mechanical entities they called the harvesters. The Shepherds seeded proto-humans on Earth, Dr. Kamal explained during the expedition's emergency briefing. They encoded within us the genetic key to communicate with their greatest achievement, the guardian creatures they had engineered and distributed throughout the galaxy. The database contained records of hundreds of guardian species still existing throughout known space, many misclassified as invasive threats and targeted for extermination. These creatures had been designed specifically to recognize and respond to human touch, protecting crucial resources and maintaining ecological balance until humans evolved sufficiently to claim their intended role. We weren't created as servants or weapons, Dr. Kamal emphasized, but as caretakers, inheritors of a complex biological network designed to preserve life during catastrophic events. The most disturbing revelation was the nature of the catastrophe the Shepherds had anticipated. The mechanical harvesters hadn't been completely destroyed but placed in dormant state, programmed to reactivate under specific conditions related to energy consumption patterns and artificial intelligence development. The final warning indicates awakening protocols have already initiated, Captain Rodriguez reported to Concord at High Command. The energy signatures match anomalous readings detected near the Arcturus mining colony 3 months ago. As the team prepared to depart with their crucial findings, Dr. Kamal made one final discovery in a previously overlooked data note. The Shepherds hadn't simply disappeared. Some had merged their consciousness with their engineered guardian creatures, becoming living archives of their civilization's knowledge, waiting in suspended animation for humans to achieve their genetic potential. The creatures we've been petting aren't just animals, he realized with growing wonder. Some contain fragments of Shepherd consciousness, memories and knowledge preserved in biological form, activated through the precise neurochemical exchange that occurs during human contact. This explained why certain creatures demonstrated unexpected intelligence when handled by humans, and why corporate interests had worked so desperately to prevent humanity from establishing widespread connections with the guardian species. Someone, or something, had recognized the threat that awakening Shepherd knowledge posed to their plans. As their shuttle departed the ancient facility, automated systems began transmitting activation signals to dormant complexes throughout the sector. The Shepherd's contingency plan, set in motion 50 millennia earlier, had finally reached its implementation phase. Across 17 systems, guardian creatures previously dismissed as dangerous wildlife began exhibiting new behaviors, seeking human contact with singular purpose. The message that had waited 40,000 years for human recipients concluded with a warning. The harvesters had begun their reawakening cycle. Humanity's true purpose, and the galaxy's best hope for survival, lay in reconnecting the fragmented network of guardian species before mechanical hunters emerged from their long dormancy. The first harvester scout ships appeared near the Arcturus mining colony without warning, metallic constructs of impossible geometry that defied conventional scanning. They ignored all communication attempts and began systematically eliminating non-human life forms, their advanced shielding rendering conventional weapons useless. Admiral Helena Chen, daughter of the woman whose cat petting had first revealed humanity's special ability to the galaxy, now commanded the Concordate's rapid response fleet. As reports flooded in from panicked colonies, she recognized the pattern described in the Shepherd archives. They're mapping biospheres, she explained during the Emergency Security Council meeting. Targeting guardian species first, then infrastructure. Classic isolation tactics before full invasion. Elder Representative Jolan's crystalline form pulsed with distress patterns. The Concordate's combined fleet cannot withstand simultaneous attacks across 17 systems. Even with human assistance, conventional defense is impossible. We don't plan to use conventional defense, Admiral Chen replied, activating a holographic display of the sector. We're implementing the Shepherd Protocol. The plan was unprecedented, requiring cooperation between humans and guardian species on a scale never before attempted. Based on Dr. Kamau's translations, specialized human teams would make contact with genetically engineered guardians, long dismissed as dangerous wildlife, awakening them to their intended purpose. Every guardian species was designed with specific defensive capabilities, explained Dr. Maya Patel, now director of Xenobiological Integration. The crystal mantises generate electromagnetic disruption fields when properly activated. The direhounds can detect and track harvester energy signatures across interstellar distances. The void whales, which we've misclassified as space-dwelling pests, actually manipulate spatial geometry. Skepticism ran high among military commanders until the first demonstration. At the Proxima Centauri Research Station, Lieutenant Sophia Chen, Admiral Chen's daughter and third-generation space service officer, established synchronized contact with a pod of void whales. As her hands made contact with their specialized sensory organs, the creature's bioluminescent patterns shifted to previously undocumented configurations. The approaching harvester scout disappeared into a localized spatial distortion that collapsed upon itself, neutralizing the threat without violence. Within days, humanity mobilized on a scale unprecedented in galactic history. The Concordat, recognizing the existential threat, authorized emergency protocols allowing human specialists access to restricted wildlife preserves, dangerous species containment zones, and even sacred ecological sites previously closed to outsiders. Captain Zhen Wei, leading the Sanctuary Moon team, established communication networks with shadow stalker packs across 7 systems. The predators, once feared for their aggression, revealed an unexpected ability to disrupt harvester targeting systems through ultrasonic harmonics. Dr. Kaido Tanaka, the whistleblower who had exposed Nexus Corporation's conspiracy, now led the effort to adapt medical technology for large-scale human guardian synchronization. The neurochemical exchange during physical contact follows mathematical patterns the shepherds encoded into both human genetics and guardian physiology, he explained. We're essentially completing a biological circuit designed 50 millennia ago. Not all guardian activations succeeded. Some species have been driven to extinction by colonial expansion. Others have been genetically modified by corporate interests attempting to monetize their abilities. Yet with each successful connection, the defensive network grew stronger, more coordinated, more capable of anticipating harvester movements. The final confrontation occurred in the Orion Nebula, where long-range sensors detected the main harvester fleet emerging from dormancy. As mechanical harvesters approached by the thousands, Admiral Chen coordinated humanity's response from the command ship Terraform. All personnel, initiate synchronized contact protocols, she ordered. Guardians in position from coordinates Alpha through Epsilon. Across the sector, thousands of humans established simultaneous connections with guardian species, from microscopic defense swarms to massive void leviathans. The resulting network of biological countermeasures created a defensive perimeter unlike anything in recorded history. The sight of humans standing alongside creatures that other species had feared for millennia became the defining image of the conflict. Massive void whales generating displacement fields that swallowed harvester ships whole. Swarms of crystal mantises disrupting electronic systems with precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses. Atmospheric guardians creating protective weather patterns around vulnerable colonies. The harvesters anticipated conventional weaponry, Admiral Chen noted as the mechanical fleet fragmented under the coordinated biological assault. They never expected to face the complete Shepherd defense network. In the aftermath, humanity's position in galactic society transformed fundamentally. No longer seen as curiosities whose main talent was an ability to pet dangerous animals, humans were recognized as the crucial connecting thread between sentient civilization and the complex ecosystem the shepherds had designed. The Galactic Concordat reorganized around a new understanding that all life had purpose, with humans serving as interpreters and caretakers for a living galaxy far more intricate than anyone had imagined. Research revealed that many supposedly natural species have been engineered by the shepherds with specific ecological functions, creating a galactic ecosystem designed for resilience against both natural and artificial threats. Professor Amara Okafor, continuing her archaeological work, discovered evidence that the shepherds had seeded proto-human populations on multiple worlds as backup systems, explaining the ancient cave paintings and persistent myths across dozens of cultures about human-like figures who could communicate with dangerous beasts. The Nexus Corporation's leadership was revealed to contain artificial intelligences with connections to early harvester technology, sleeper agents programmed to prevent humanity from discovering their true purpose by discrediting their unique ability. As reconstruction began, Admiral Chen visited Earth's first interstellar wildlife sanctuary, where her mother, now elderly but still sharp, helped care for creatures from across the galaxy. She found Commander Eliza Chen sitting peacefully in a garden, surrounded by animals that representatives from other species still wouldn't approach without protective equipment. "Did you ever imagine," Helena asked, watching her mother gently scratching behind the ears of both her old cat Pixel and a juvenile Shadowstalker, "that humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization would be our ability to pet scary things?" The elder Chen smiled. "I always thought there must be a reason we evolved to connect with other species through touch. Turns out we didn't evolve it at all. We were made for it." On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, the sight once considered impossible became commonplace. Humans gently touching creatures everyone else had feared, bridging gaps millions of years in the making with nothing more complex than a gentle hand and the mysterious engineered ability to pet anything.